Hello, Cut Cardstock fans, and hello, a little Mo Crafty followers. This is Maureen, or Mo Crafty, with you today, and I am going to do a cool project that, as always, is easy to put together just in time for summer reading. So I'm going to be making some striped bookmarks that are sort of a throwback retro feel, if you will, using the fabulous pop tone papers from Cut Cardstock. Now, take a listen to some of the names of these papers that I'm going to be using because they are amazing. Besides the colors, they are a fun grouping of Orange Fizz. We're using some Grapesicle, a little bit of Gumdrop Green and Limeade, and then maybe add in some Banana Split and some Blue Raspberry. Isn't that fun? So the pop tone papers are a great summer feel, such a fabulous paper to work with. And I'm going to be cutting those into the 1/2-inch strips that you see here. Now what I've also done is chosen a white base paper. So this is the Basis White 80-pound paper. And I've cut it at a 2.5-inch by 11-inch right now. I'll be trimming this down a little bit later. But we're going to be starting to glue some of our pop tone strip papers down at an angle across the piece of paper. Okay, so take the basis paper, glue your first strip down by putting some glue on the back. I'm using tacky glue, by the way, and then laying it down. Then from this point forward, you've got an angle to follow, and you can set your tacky glue down on top of it and then lay the strip over it. And that will help you follow your pattern. Diagonal patterns are kind of hard to follow otherwise. Now notice I am following a pattern of 3 different colors, and as I apply the strips, I am applying it with just about a 1/4 inch overlap on both sides. I realize there's paper extra on this side, but here's what's going to happen. I'm going to trim it down. Now don't throw away those extras because you're going to use them later. But for now, I'm just going to trim down the extras, and it's a great way to not have to cut everything at the correct length. Okay, notice I also started my stripes about midway, about 1/3 of the way up the piece of paper. That's intentional. I'm actually going to be changing the pattern here slightly, but I'm just put a few more strips on for my pattern just to make sure I've got enough coverage that when I do trim down the bookmark, it's going to fit. Make sure you're following your pattern well, too. I had to pay attention to that here for just a minute. Okay, so still gluing down a few more strips. I just want to get some good even coverage on the top. And one little thing is I'm using tacky glue. You certainly can use anything you want. I certainly love to work with the tacky glue. But as people who know me will tell you, less is more with your glue. Okay, so if you think you need more, nope, you don't. You probably need less. So go really, really thin and flat with your coverage on your tacky glue. Okay, now check this out. So I have gone most of the way up my paper strip that I think I want to go. And now what I'm doing with those extra pieces of paper is flipping it over and using the angle that I cut to fill in the bottom as a geometric design. It's really cool because the angle actually matches. It's probably a math thing. I don't know. But in the meantime, didn't pay much attention in geometry. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and glue these up against the bottom stripe and just following the same pattern. And what's really cool about the eye appeal of this is that it gives it just a slightly different geometric design. And it's going to look like a retro feel when I'm done. So just keep gluing and trimming as far up the piece of paper as you want, as big as you want your bookmark to be. Make sure you're following the pattern. The other good thing about using tacky glue is that you can actually remove it if you need to later, versus using some sort of roller tape. So go ahead and continue to apply the strips, trim them off, and then we're going to get to the other parts of our bookmark. Now notice I overlapped slightly. That's okay. Just trim off your edge. And we are set. Okay, so once you have your bookmark designs all laid out and everything's fully dry, and by the way, when they dry, I usually like to put like a flat book or something on top of them. The irony is not lost on me, by the way, just to keep them dry and not bumpy. And then I'm going to trim off the ends so you don't see any white on the front side. So let me do that real quick. And now I've got the length I probably want for a bookmark, which ends up being about 5 or 6 inches long. All right, and that trims really well on my trimmer. Now what we're going to do is turn these bad boys into some bookmarks. And all you need is a hole punch for this one, you guys. Take a hole punch, punch the end, and we're going to put that fun little trim on it. What I'm going to be using for the trim is going to be floss, embroidery floss, by the way. Okay, what you see here is me cutting out some names and letters from Cricut. This is, I forget the font name now that I think about it, but it is some sort of groovy font. And I have done an offset at about 0.15 to do a white behind the letters. And this particular paper that I'm gluing right now is going to be the limeade. And I am gluing in with tacky glue on top of this. This paper is actually going to be another Pop Tone paper, the Pop Tone Sweet Tooth White. This is a little thinner paper. Instead of the basis, it's not quite so thick, so it won't make your bookmark all big and bulky. So go ahead and glue your letters together, let those dry, and then you're going to apply them to the front of your bookmark. Now, I just love this project because it is essentially giving something thoughtful and meaningful by personalizing an item when you give somebody something for this amount. Okay, so I've got my names applied, and now I'm just going to take, let me get this one last one here. What I'm going to take is some embroidery floss in several colors. Now, if you do any embroidery, you probably got a ton of this around your house. Great way to use up some supplies, by the way. And I've taken about 4 or 5 colors here and just trimmed it to a certain length. It's about, if you really add it up, it's probably about double the length of the bookmark. And take about 3, 4, 5 colors here, all in coordinating, trim them up. And what we're going to do is just sort of gather those together and stick them in the hole of our bookmark. I really love this because I usually have a ton of supplies left over from a project, and I really don't need all of this stuff laying around my house. So just sort of gather it in a loop about midway, stick it through your hole, and then all you got to do is sort of pull that thread through the loop. Instant bookmark. Do you not love it? Oh my goodness. Trim off those edges, of course, and there you have some really cute bookmarks. These are going to make great summer gifts, and I can't wait to send them in the mail. Thanks for stopping by, everybody.